Welcome to the Frontline Herbalism podcast with your host Nicole Rose from the Solidarity Apothecary. This is your place for all things plants and liberation. Let's get started.
Hello, welcome back to the Frontline Herbalism podcast. So I was recording an episode that you've hopefully listened to all about the Herbalism, PTSD and traumatic stress course. And I just realized it was getting a bit long. So I thought I would record a part 2 instead. So please listen to the first one to give you all the context about the course. And I will I'll just kind of crack on from where I left off. So the first part now is how much does the course cost? And this is probably the question I get the most. So I'm going to talk about the standard price first and then the resource price. And then I'll talk about the solidarity price and the sliding scale in much more detail. Okay, so the standard price is £225. And there are payment plans. So you could pay, for example, £75 for 3 months or £45 for 5 months. So this is for people in employment or folks who have a kind of steady income who are able to meet their basic needs and like afford extras, like holidays or takeaways or clothes, things like that. Everyone needs clothes, but you're kind of like actively consuming in the world, if that makes sense. For people with some savings and safety net. And then the resource price is $375. So payment plans, there's like £125 for 3 months or £75 for 5 months. So this is for people with like access to unearned generational wealth, for example, trust funds or family allowances, or people that are kind of living off like significant kind of inheritances, for people who own a house or own more than one property or are a landlord. And for people with larger than average like savings and pensions and investments beyond your sort of daily cost of living, or folks who are a kind of like middle to high earner in terms of like work and wage labor. I don't get many people, if I'm honest, with the resource price, but I really appreciate people that do pay that, who recognize their sort of class and economic privilege and use that for the course. Because like I said, I've never actually published the data, but 75% of people access the course with the solidarity pricing. So most people actually don't contribute or contribute kind of an average of £12 or something. So the people that pay the standard price and the resource price are they're just so appreciated. It's you that makes the Solidarity Apothecary financially viable and means that I can focus on it and I don't have to sell my labor somewhere else, and that I can, do things like send hundreds of books to prisoners around the world each month and get medicine making packages out to folks and support people who can't pay me with the one-to-one clinic, for example, and, a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so the solidarity price, this is its own sliding scale. So it can be from 0 to 225. So you can kind of choose where you are on that. And this is for people who are refugees, asylum seekers, or people without papers, former prisoners and detainees, low-income prisoner and detainee family members. Because, the whole project is supporting people experiencing state violence. So it's a lot of these groups of people that are, and also folks who are low-income organizers, experiencing state repression. And then there's also this broader category, which is anyone in financial distress, unable to meet their basic needs. I can share a little bit more about that, but just kind of why a sliding scale before I do. I'll read what I've written here. So this course offers 3 different packages designed to accommodate different levels of financial resources and acknowledge the impact of systemic oppression. While the detailed packages are outlined above, the core principle is simple. People on low incomes pay less and financially resourced people pay more. So this approach represents an imperfect way to create a more economically liberating model while we work to create different economic systems. So understanding class and its intersections is crucial. It is inseparable from other forms of oppression, racism, sexism, transphobia, ableism, etc. People's situations are complex and rarely fit into neat categories or sliding scales. In our capitalist society, which generates and perpetuates a feeling of scarcity, this manifests differently for different people. For many, scarcity is acutely real. For example, people living in actual poverty. For others, it is an emotional feeling of instability and fear that is equally real. Studies have shown that even millionaires feel that they do not have quote unquote enough. So this complexity in our relationship with money makes implementing a sliding scale challenging, highlighting why it is important to integrate an analysis of systemic oppression and class rather than an emotional feeling of what you can afford. So what I mean by that is like, I don't know anyone that feels like, hey, I've got like plenty of money and I'm absolutely fine and I'm not worried about it running out, or I'm not worried about where I'm going to get more from. You know, like even folks that I know that are in like conventional employment, like feel a sensation of like, fuck, I might lose my job, or I don't have enough savings, or I don't have enough saved for retirement or for old age, or I'm not going to inherit this, or like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's very difficult because people are kind of coming in with like their own stuff, and people that are actually like significantly more financially secure than others will have a feeling in their body, especially if they've grown up in poverty, like will have a feeling in their body, but that they are like literally not safe, if that makes sense. And the reason I wanted to kind of list some of the groups is that like, I guess I was someone that like had a strong like working class identity despite having like huge access to like resources and privilege. But like when I started going to Calais, for example, and working with the mobile clinic, it's like, fuck me, I'm like literally the most privileged person in the universe. Like, you know, I'm interacting with clients like in the clinic who literally don't have a pair of socks. Do you know what I mean? So it's like everything is quite relative. And I think, yeah, like even like poverty is like very relative. Like I am like not negating fucking poverty in England and Wales. Like it is fucking real. Like I was there when I was a child. Like it is like, you know, it's real. Okay. Like it's different to other countries, but it is also real and desperate and awful. But yeah, there is also like, again, these like nuances, and like luckily like people join from all over the world, right? So their context is like very different. So someone say coming from Mexico who sees the standard price of like 225 is just going to be like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like as in like a working class person in Mexico, not like every Mexican person. Sorry, I'm getting very clumsy with explaining this, but what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, let me read the text I've written on the like about the solidarity page. So yeah, what I've written here is there's a question like, what does financial distress mean? And it says, I know financial distress means things in different contexts, but right now, if you're struggling to afford basic needs such as food, heating, etc., you should 100% use the code and donate whatever you can afford at a sliding scale appropriate to you. So obviously the price of food has gone up so horrifically. So most of us are probably like, I'm actually struggling to afford food. But there is a difference between I can go to the supermarket and decide which like expensive vegan protein powder I can buy versus like I'm having to choose between like formula for my baby and like vegetables. Do you know what I mean? Like there is a difference. So yeah, you can determine what financial distress means to you. You know, like for people that are on benefits, like our benefit system, like really keep people in fucking poverty, like intentionally. So I would 100% encourage you to use the code. But some people are on benefits who, for example, don't have to pay rent. So therefore, like they're actually maybe have more surplus income than other people who have like 3 kids to feed. Do you know what I mean? This is what I mean. It's like so complicated and relative. And I don't want to be the one judging your situation. So I want people to like self-identify and make that decision of what they can afford or not afford. But yeah, I've written here, denying people in poverty access to learning about trauma because they can't afford it goes against every bone in my body. And I'm leaning into the trust that folks with resources will pay what they can, because I know people who follow the Solidarity Apothecary and the work I do care deeply about liberation. So I'm less worried about the people in financial distress and where they want to put themselves on that scale. And I'm more speaking to the people that have financial resources that can, you know, utilize them and, you know, help this work. Because obviously, like, I am paying myself with this course. Like, I earned about like 12 grand last year that I paid myself. But, you know, the course generated much more money than that. But like I said, like I use it for all the projects and the things I want to do. But like, yeah, anyway, I feel like I'm probably like laboring this point too much, but basically how the Solidarity price works is like when I publish the course link, you put in the code and then there's a donation box and you can put in whatever you want in the donation box, including nothing. So lots of questions I get about this is like, if they can't afford the full amount, is it okay to just donate something? So for example, if you can't afford 225 but you can afford 150, then that's fucking awesome. Like, any donation is appreciated. People ask, like, is it okay to donate something later? And I'm just like, yeah, 100%, you know, like, and that's so wonderful. Like, someone will join the course for free, and then 2 months later, they'll email me like, hey, I've just come into some money. I've just dropped like 50 quid into your PayPal for the course. And I'm just like, that's amazing. Some people, yeah, you're able to also donate a smaller amount each month. So I have like a system on my website where you can do like a monthly kind of direct debit, and it might be you can just afford to put in like £2 a month. Do you know what I mean? And that's like amazing. Like, that will cover half the cost of a book to a prisoner. And there's a question here, do I need to share about my financial circumstances to access the course? So no, you do not have to email me about your financial circumstances. I grew up on state benefits where there was this feeling of like being a charity case, right? Where you have to like justify your needs. If you apply for things, you give them like photocopies of your parents' like benefits, stuff like that. Or you have to share, you know, details about your life story to get a grant. And it is so fucking humiliating. I didn't want to reproduce that with my course. That being said, I love it when people send me little bits of information about themselves. Hey, I'm accessing this course like for my brother in prison, and I'm like doing this for my family, and thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love hearing about who you are and where you are and like, yeah, what this course means to you. But like, I do not want you to be like, you know, needing to like tell me about your financial circumstances to like feel like quote unquote guilt about accessing it for free, because like, I am in fucking choice here. Like, okay, I am a self-sacrificing femme in lots of ways, and I'm trying to unlearn all that stuff and codependency and all this bollocks, but like, I am also someone who's been engaged in struggles like anarchist groups and projects and campaigns and movements for liberation since I was like fucking 10 years old. Like, I care about this, I care about liberation. Okay, I have to run this thing like some sort of weird business to do all the stuff I want to do, but like, I am choosing to offer a sliding scale. Like, I am not sacrificing myself for this. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then there's a question of like, is there any other way I can support you if I can't afford to contribute? So yeah, fuck yeah. Like, sharing the course on your social media, on your networks, like writing a really meaningful testimonial. Like, you can organize a fundraiser for things like the clinic in Calais, or, you know, the Prisoner Herbalism Collective, like help pay for books to prisoners. There's just like so many other ways that you can kind of contribute. Okay, yeah, and I've written a bit of text here about, you know, it says, isn't this financial suicide? And I've written a long thing there. Okay, so I hope that clarifies some stuff about the sliding scale. All right, so I got interrupted by baby things, so I had to stop recording there, but I thought it was kind of nicer to maybe just leave this episode as like a standalone one about the sliding scale, because I always get lots of questions about it, so it's nice to be able to point people to a resource to learn more. And in the next part about talking about the course, I'm going to be kind of going through the rest of the course page. So sharing a little bit more about myself, why I made the course, what other people have said about it, stuff like that. So please take a listen to that. And don't forget that it is enrolling on Saturday, the 22nd of March. That's when it opens for enrollment. And anyone that joins the waiting list by this Sunday has a chance to win one of these amazing little sample kits of herbal medicine featured in the course with herbs that I've like foraged and processed and made into medicine myself. So yeah, if you're curious about the course, you know, like a waiting list is a waiting list. It doesn't mean that you have to sign up. You're not obligated to enroll or anything like that. But if you just want to kind of make sure you're notified when it's, you know, available to enroll, and have me spam you for like 2 weeks to encourage you to join the course, then that, you know, that's what you're kind of consenting to, if that makes sense. There's also this first day bonus of, if you sign up on the first day, there's a chance you can enter a lottery to join our practical medicine making training in June. So please sign up if you're interested. Check out the links in the show notes to the course page. I'd be really happy to talk about this kind of experimentation with sliding scales and things in the future with folks if you're interested in that. And yeah, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Frontline Herbalism podcast. You can find the transcript, the links, all the resources from the show at solidarityApothecary.org/podcast.